This video is brought to you by GameGenic, but more on that in a moment. Hello and welcome to some real slop content. You've seen videos like this before, where a Magic the Gathering person, probably CGB, sits down with a Hearthstone person, probably Raren, and then you talk about like the cards in Magic, and we talk about whether or not you can assess whether they're good. We're doing that today, but with a difference. I'm the milkiest man in esports entertainment, PleasantKenobi, and I'm joined by Dane Hearth. I know you as Dane, the Hearthstone player, but it's Dane Hearth, right?
Dane's fine. Yeah.
Dane's fine.
I was unoriginal. And I just put half at the end of the name.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, I'm not an original dude. My fucking username's got like Star Wars shit in it. I don't even make Star Wars content. The unique angle for us is that I'm British and so are you, but we're from two different walks of life. You're from up in the north.
I'm from the north. Is that is that northern accent? This is a northern accent.
That isn't. You did a different northern accent. What would you think the accent you just tried to do was?
Lord of the Rings type. I don't know.
Gimli, he just turned into a fucking dwarf. Right, who are you? What do you do? So to give the audience some background, what is your content like and what do you do?
I mainly make YouTube videos on Hearthstone gameplay. That's pretty much it, and then also stream to capture said gameplay videos.
So you are a regular, everyday bro. I haven't said everyday bro in a long time. That's an archaic reference at this point. Everyday bro Hearthstone content creator, and you play a lot of Hearthstone specifically.
Only, not only. That's a lie. But mainly.
Okay, if not only, what else do you play?
Quake Champions.
Okay, that's not going to help with your card assessment today. Okay, I guess a better question is, how familiar are you with other card games, and specifically Magic?
Okay. Well, other card games, I collect Pokemon cards.
Have you played Pokemon?
I've never. Oh, that's a lie. I had that Pokemon Pocket. I didn't know it was so simple.
I mean, Pokemon Pocket even makes an already simple game more simple, right? And also ups the variance. Were you playing decks that like win by flipping 5 coins and shit?
I was playing whatever I opened. Time and got promptly very bored and went back to the jungle.
I hated it. I thought it was very bad. Not a fun game. So you've played a bit of Pokemon Pocket. What else?
I played a bit of Snap. I played a little Marvel Snap. I played a bit of a Tekken, which is a hybrid of a card game and a fighting game. That's right. Yeah,
Tekken? No. Is it related to Tekken?
It's a Capcom. No, that was what the feedback was, I think, from the game. Everyone thought it was a Tekken-related fighting game. It's actually Capcom. So they have, like, Resident Evil characters, Ace Attorneys, and any Capcom franchise you can think of.
Does this game still exist?
It still exists, yeah. It's really popular in Japan, I believe.
Interesting. That is an absolute hole in my knowledge. I thought about doing a video where like I get someone like yourself on, and then we take turns in showing each other cards from other card games that neither of us really understand, and it's just a shit show. And I can even like show you a Warhammer data sheet and just things from games that are so outside our wheelhouse. But that's a whole different topic. Maybe you can do that to me with Teppen. Magic. How much Magic have you played?
I've not touched the stuff. Not touched it.
Really? That's fascinating.
I've installed Arena. There was a lion on the screen talking to me about the tutorial, and then I uninstalled it.
A lion? Do you mean a Ajani Goldmane? One of our intellectual properties lead characters.
It might have been that guy, yeah.
What made you uninstall it? Was it like interface, gameplay? Like what was it? I
thought it's just too complicated. I don't have spare time for this.
Magic can be quite complicated, to be fair. But it's the granddaddy, right? So, like, have you never been curious about where Hearthstone got its like genes from? You know,
I've watched videos about Magic. I sometimes watch like those like historical videos where they talk about like Black Lotus and where that came from. And all
has YouTube ever fed you one of my ones where I've been doing a history lesson?
Yes, I've watched, and I also watched like a bunch of like collectors. You've got like these people opening like alpha boosters and they'll have some ridiculous price on the screen. And I'll be like, oh, well, that's something I've never seen.
The interesting thing here, Ben, is that you're a Hearthstone player, but you're actually more interested in the collecty side of things in a way, because you're like opening Pokemon cards and not playing them, watching collectors open packs. You're an investment bro.
No. This is from when I was a kid. I don't sell any of them. I have all of my original cards from like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, all in those drawers there.
But are they fucked though? Are they like scratched to shit because you paid them?
Pristine. I'm quite old, so this is when I was like 19 or 18, like 20 years ago.
You're like at least 10 years older than me, right? Because I'm only 21.
Oh, you're only 21, yeah. Yeah, no, forever 20. I remember this bit, yeah.
Oh, wait, did I do this to you before? Oh, we should tell me where we know each other from. So we know each other because we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Together.
We did, we're Yu-Gi-Oh! Connoisseurs. I remember being very panicked because they said, "Oh, you want to do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Oh, the other people are going to be there." I was like, "Do they have any Yu-Gi-Oh! Experience?" They lied. Well, they didn't lie. They said, "Some people will, some people won't." And then
I got told you didn't need to know before you got there. That's what I got told.
But remember they took us out to a restaurant and they made us pick our decks from a hat.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the only practice we got. It was one night before. But they never gave us the client never had the unlock cards, so we didn't know what we were playing.
So we flew out to Paris, by the way, as part of this anecdote. So we're in a different country at this point. Half the players are French. My first opponent didn't actually speak much English. She was lovely and like polite and everything, but in a way that we were like speaking languages neither of us understood. And then the bit that was really funny was I didn't know how to access my extra deck, and the deck I was playing needed to summon a creature from the extra deck. So during my first on-stream game, I was just like clicking around the UI, and the commentator's like, "It doesn't look like he knows what he's doing." In the replay, like, I didn't, because they told me they would teach me when I got there. Oh god, that was fun times. Right, anyway, people are sitting there thinking, "Vince, you're fucking waffling. We're already 10 minutes in. We haven't looked at a single magic card. Should we look at some magic cards?"
Show me. I've got like one physical one next to me. I just want to see what's that there.
That is a some sort of bird raven thing from the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
I couldn't even see that on the camera. That was right. That's the only pack I've ever opened of Magic.
And it wasn't technically Magic, it was technically D&D. That's how Magic is now. But before we get too far into that, this video is brought to you by GameGenic, the best accessories for card games on the market. They're your favorite creator's favorite accessory brand, without a doubt. The Squire Plus 100 XL is this beautiful deck box that has this front panel where you can put your commanders, so you can see it from the outside looking in, and it's easier to pull out than I make it look in this video where I'm doing it at arm's length over in front of a camera that's on my desk, with a shoulder injury too, by the way. The fantastic looking deck boxes. I love all of this stuff. And if you don't want the more chunky ones, you've got these much more compact ones right here. I've got a commander deck in here as well. Wonderful selection of colors. Look at this beautiful thing here. They also do the best dice on the market. I use all their dice for Warhammer. I use all their sleeves and deck boxes for both Magic and other card games too, like Star Wars Unlimited. They have a great selection for that as well. And I even use their token silos for my dice for wargaming, and I'm about to set up Gloomhaven for a campaign. I'm going to use that to also store my tokens. It is available at all good local game stores. I swear by GameGenic, because they both sponsor me and give me money to pay my mortgage, but also because their stuff is the best stuff out there. Hands down. Huge shout out to GameGenic for continuing to sponsor what I do and support me with my own creative vision and my own output. With all of that out of the way, let's get back to the video. Right, here's your first card. I'm going to drop it in the call. Take a look at this. I'll say a bad boy, but it's actually a bad girl. So I want you to give me, you can look at a card, you're going to give me a rating, okay? You're going to say, is the card an absolute fucking stinker? Okay? Is it, so 0 to 1 to 4. 1 is stinker, 2 is playable, 3 is broken, and 4 is banned. Okay? And by broken, we're like broken inverted commas. So broken is like, people call it broken, but in reality it's just good and everyone plays it. So unplayable, playable, staple, essentially, or banned. So here's Thalia, Guardian Thraben, a 2-mana, 2/1 human soldier legendary creature. You might already be confused. There's a lot of stuff going on here already. It's got first strike, and it has non-creature spells, cost 1 more to cast. Do you know what first strike is?
That's the equivalent of charge, I would imagine.
Incorrect. Charge. No. Charge is haste. So it can attack on the turn it comes in. First strike is that when it's attacking or blocking, it deals damage in a step before the other creature does. So if a 2/2 were to attack into this and it blocked, it would do 2 damage before the 2/2 does and kill it.
Right. So it's a free trade.
Essentially, people won't swing a 2/2 into this because it's just suicide, right?
Yeah.
But it makes attacking and blocking very unfavorable. Okay. And don't forget, you can block in Magic. Are you aware of this?
I am. You can. I played Rune Terror, which I imagine has the most similar magic mechanics.
No, because
you can block in Rune Terror.
I thought in Rune Terror, is there blocking? I haven't played it in like 2 years. Was there blocking in Rune Terror?
Yeah, you can put stuff in front of your opponent.
There you go. For people who are watching this and be like, why are we talking about blocking in such an because in Hearthstone, Dan, you can explain how combat works in Hearthstone, right?
Oh yes, you can only block if the minion has taunt.
Yes. Or at least it forces you to attack it, right? Because where the attacks go, yes. So you can attack minions, right? You can choose to, because minions are removal spells, right?
But you don't have to.
You don't have to. You can go face. Face Hunter was the last. That was the last deck I played. The last deck I played was Grim Patron Warrior. Anyway, that's a long time ago. Yeah, that was like way before COVID. Before I met you, Dane. So, Thalia, do you think this card seems good?
Oh, why? So to analyze this, Vincent, what is a white deck? are they known for control? Or I know red is aggro. Your red is
correct.
You spell black is kind of like Warlock, takes a bit of damage.
Yes.
Sacrifice and then
greatness at any cost is one of the taglines for black.
Yeah. Green is your ramp, your druid-esque.
Correct.
I'm guessing.
You're good at this.
Blue and white, I imagine, are hell control decks.
So yes, to an extent, correct. So blue-white famously is normally, if you said to someone I'm playing blue-white, they'd assume it's probably a control deck. There are other decks that exist in those color pairings. There's like blue-white, go wide, artifact, aggro decks, for example. There are different things you can do, but you are correct. Blue-white is associated with control. Control doesn't tend to play a lot of creatures. But white has a lot of controlling effects. So, for example, Thalia here says, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. So every spell that you, the player playing the Thalia, or the opponent tries to cast, will cost 1 more mana. That's your removal spells, your ramp, and all sorts of things.
And how many of these you're allowed to put in the deck? Is it
so
3 or 4?
A playset is 4, but importantly, Thalia is legendary. Which means under the current rules of Magic, this has changed a lot over the years, but in the current rules, you can only have 1 in play. If you play a second one, you then have a choice to make where you get to pick 1 to keep alive and the other one dies as a state-based action. You have to sacrifice it.
I see.
Essentially, you can't summon the same famous Winston Churchill-style character twice. Or you can, but one of them gets ripped from reality and destroyed.
I would guess this would be a free, but I'm only making that guess because I assume white, I don't know, but I assume white would have quite a lot of ways to make the stats on this slightly bigger. And if you're running this with maybe, can you do dual? You can do blue and white. I guess you could stop your opponent from...
You can play any colours you want, correct.
You can maybe counter your opponent a bit more because spells already cost them 1. So you can stop it. You can stop this being removed via a spell. I imagine this is going to be a very, very annoying creature.
Ooh, okay. So far, you are correct. I'm not going to count how many you're correct on. Someone in the comment section can tell us how correct you are. The interesting thing is some people are going to argue this isn't a category 3, which is staple, by the way, because she wasn't that prominently played recently when she was in standard because she came back. They reprinted her. But she's a classic iconic card that they put back into the game because of how good she is. And you are right on one of your assessments. The getting her to be bigger thing isn't necessarily the truth. Like, white does do some pumping. There are creatures you can combo this with, like Luminop Aspirant was a thing that grows stuff in white weenie decks. White weenie is where you play a load of weenies and smack face. It's the aggro deck that white can play. It's not talking about penises. But also Thalia can carry equipment quite well because if you put an equipment on her that makes her bigger, her first strike is obviously very good as well because she's now a 3-4 or a 4-3 or whatever. That bit is kind of less so. The second part you said is absolutely why Thalia sees play. It makes your opponent's spells cost more. So if you play on turn 2 and pass your opponent, their removal spell costs 2 mana. It now costs 3. So they make their land drop and they can't kill her. And then they got to pass back to you and so on. There are decks that I famously play that people who are watching this and knowing why I picked Thalia. I have a picture of Thalia on my wall up here. She's a big influence in my channel and my career is playing Magic. It's where you blow up your opponent's lands and play Thalia. So they're trying to get to that 2, 3, 4 mana. I played a game yesterday where I blew up someone's land, played a Thalia, and my opponent just scooped on the spot. They just stopped playing. They're like, I'm done. I'm out. So you are correct. She's very disruptive, quite controlling, and a little bit aggro. So you are correct there. Right, card number 2. We've done... Thalia is quite classic, but we're going even older now. This card is older than some of the viewers of this video. This is Brushwagg. A 3 mana Brushwagg. It says summon Brushwagg because that's how the cards used to read. It's a 3/2 from Mirage, and it says if Brushwagg blocks or is blocked, it gets -2, +2. And I'd like to draw your attention to the art.
I know, I was going to say, I like the old, is this an old card? Oh, 1996, I like the old Magic art.
Yeah, this card is like almost as old as, no, it's older than Pokemon. When did Pokemon come out, 99?
No, 96, I think, in Japan.
In Japan, sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you are right, I think it's much earlier in Japan. Maybe 98? But either way, as far as Brits and Americans are concerned, this is an older card than Pokemon.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So if he blocks or is blocked, it gets -2, +2 until the end of the turn. So it loses 2 attack but gains 2 health. Is that
correct? And remember, for Hearthstone players watching, damage is only kept on a permanent until the end of the turn. You don't put damage counters on like you do in Pokemon or in Lorcana, I think, uses damage counters. In Magic, damage is tracked. Like, you have to remember what it is. At the end of turn, it's wiped off. So if Brushwagg becomes a 0/4 and takes 2 damage by blocking a 2/2, for example, it won't shrink back down and die. It will actually remove the damage at the end of the turn.
So would this go up to a... Would it reset back to a 3/2, or would this go up to
Correct. The effect has until end of turn. Yeah, it doesn't keep going.
Okay.
It's very rare for a temporary buff to not be removed at end of turn, simply from a tracking perspective, because we're not a digital game, we're actually a physical game, although you wouldn't believe that from the way, anyway. We're a physical game, so tracking needs things to end at end of turn. Unless it's a counter. If it's a counter, you put an object onto the card to track that.
Is this little guy... I guess he's not standard legal anymore unless he's been reprinted.
Correct. He is not standard legal, and he hasn't been standard legal for approximately 2 decades. Brushwagg hasn't been reprinted. Does that give you... is that because he was too good? Or is that because he was shit? Who knows?
And this is evaluating this little fella based on... Is it Commander, or is it just for the time?
I want you to evaluate... Oh, it's a very good question. Fuck, he knows what Commander is. Okay, I think we can talk about Commander as we go, but I really want you to evaluate it on the more Hearthstone fucking, that's a word I can't say. The analog of Hearthstone, where you're playing 1v1 constructed or limited as far as Arena is concerned, right? Arena being your draft format.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it draft, Arena being our digital client. Confusing words. I want you to assess it like that. We will talk about Commander as we go, because some of these cards are better there. For those of you from the Hearthstone side of things, Commander's the 4-player, 100-card singleton format where everyone's fucking about and no one's taking it very seriously, except for the handful of people that you don't necessarily want to play with. So, competitive play, constructed play, or limited. Do you think this card was good?
I mean, I'd have to evaluate. I mean, I don't, like I say, know nothing about Magic, so I don't even know about like the time capsules of how good they are in Standard at that time. So 1996, I imagine this is probably an average card in 1996. I guess it's just a 4/1. I guess if it blocks.
No, it's never a 4/1. It's a 3/2 that becomes a 1/4.
Well, sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, 1/4. So
you think it was average back in the day?
Yeah, I'd say that would be average. The mana cost. Vincent? What is the average? What would you say is an average mana cost for a creature in Magic?
Okay, in the formats like where Thalia is played, for example, because Thalia still sees played to this day in the non-rotating older formats, the average CMC of a creature is like 1.8 or something, right? There's exceptionally high ones, but everything tends to cost 1, 2, or at a push 3 mana. But in Standard, the average cost of a creature is probably around 2.8. Someone in the comments can do the actual math and tell me, but that's like a hazarding a guess.
Okay. I mean, so he's average. His stats are average. I'd say he's probably a 1.
So you think he's 1 is unplayable? Yes, correct. Brushwagg is unplayable. However, there's a twist to this. Which of these 2 cards you've just seen do you think is more expensive on the secondary market? Which is a thing we don't get in Hearthstone, right? People don't buy cards in Hearthstone. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, or Brushwagg?
The older, I imagine it's Brushwagg because he's a little bit older. But Magic players, I guess, sometimes buy on because Magic players actually want to play the game.
Correct. Correct. So playability can factor in.
But he's rubbish though, so it's got to be the Brushwagg.
So Brushwagg is rubbish, but he does cost more money than Thalia, not because of his age, but because Brushwagg is a meme. Look at him. He's a little
beautiful,
tumbling boy. So he's about $1 on the secondary market, where Thalia you can get as low as 50 cents. So he's double the price of a Thalia, simply from a meme perspective.
I'm sure I've got a few of those in my back garden. I've got a little hedgehog.
They're native to the habitats of the United Kingdom, for sure.
Yeah.
Like you leave a little dish out to feed them water in the summer, right? Okay.
He's cute, yeah.
Next up, this classic, and I'm putting that in inverted commas, who knows, 1 to 4. Aurelia's Fury is a red, white, and X instant. It says it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players, and you tap each creature dealt damage this way. Players dealt damage this way can't cast non-creature spells this turn. So in essence, it's an X spell, so you can put as much mana into it as you have available. If you had 6 mana available, you can pay 4, for example, and you can ping 4 players or 4 creatures for 1 damage each, or some variation of that. And then when it hits a creature, it taps them. Tapping is important because you can't block with a tapped creature, and because it's an instant, you can cast it in your opponent's turn and tap the creature before they go to combat, so they can't even attack with them. And if you bop the player with it as well, they can't cast non-creature spells, so they can't cast removal spells, artifact mana rocks, equipments, and similar. Do you think? Well, first of all, what do you think of this bad boy?
So an instant, I'm going to use my LOR knowledge here. An instant is you can't counterspell it.
No, you can counterspell it. You can. Counterspells are very important. Counterspell itself is an instant.
Okay, yeah. Because I'm thinking, in Runeterra, spells have different speeds.
Yeah, there's quick interrupts, I think, isn't there, where you can't.
Quick and slow, yeah, and an instant can counter anything.
So essentially in Magic, whenever you take an action, so that's going through a phase, like moving to combat, for example, or if you put a spell on the stack, or activate a effect in play, and an activate ability, that is put onto what's called the stack. At which point you pass around the table to all the players that are in play. If it's just a 1v1, it's to the opponent. The opponent then has a chance to react, which allows them to cast things that are instant speed, or with flash. Flash is like instant for physical things, like creatures, or activate their own abilities. If they choose not to, priority is passed, and you resolve the thing that was put on. If they put something on the stack, we pass priority back to the other player, and you can start layering things up. Instant, and so on. So in essence, an instant can be cast at any point during the turn that anything is happening. Moving of phases, there's 6 phases in the turn. There's the upkeep, draw, main phase, combat, second main phase, end step. You can do this at any of those points. The opponent casts a creature, you can be like, okay, I'm responsible for Aurelia's Fury and ping some stuff.
So it's the more important thing of this, I guess, is with Hearthstone, if this was a spell, it would randomly hit targets.
Do you not get to choose the targets of like damage spells in Hearthstone?
Not this type of spell.
Not like a mana sink where you spend all your mana to do it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so this one would in Hearthstone would probably be like an arcane missiles, where it would deal like if it does separate instance of damage. You wouldn't normally get to pick. There's only like very few
interesting
cards where you can actually pick where specific damage goes. And I don't know if that's an interface thing or
it could. Yeah, exactly. It could be a design choice on how these things play, but it also, like you said, interface is important. So I was playing this morning and I misclicked something and killed my own creature, which is very not that common to do in Magic. I don't want my Hearthstone players thinking that's a really common thing you do, but like it was like a thing where I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, the interface is clunky because Magic is so complicated and designed with paper in mind first and digital later that you will have cards that are actually a pain in the arse to resolve. Click. Combos take fucking ages to resolve in digital. So, is this a stinker, playable, staple, or banned? Because does this seem good to you? Would this be good in Hearthstone?
So tapping a creature wouldn't be. Oh, I suppose if
it'd stop it from attacking.
Would be the equivalent of freeze, isn't it?
Freezing, exactly, and it also remove taunt. Essentially, you can remove taunt with this in theory, because that creature can no longer block.
Yeah. So I mean, there are cards existing where. Freeze is a really good mechanic in Hearthstone.
Does freeze remove taunt?
It doesn't remove taunt. It just it basically stops you from taking damage the next turn. So it's usually just a stall.
So it stops a creature from attacking. Yeah, that's like tapping.
Yeah. So it deals X damage. How much does it cost to cast? Is you just
so it's red, white, and X. X can be any number. So if you have like 100 mana open, you could spend hundreds of mana, example. If you had 7 mana available, you could just spend 2, for example, into the X. So you spent 4 total.
So so you could use this as a finisher or a way to
Exactly, it does shoot face as well. You can just kill your opponent with it.
I'd say it's probably banned.
Ooh, so this one's an interesting one. It's an absolute stinker. It saw 0 play in standard. However, during the pre-release window, it's hyped up so hard on forums and by the proto content creators before my time. I was playing a lot then, but wasn't making content. That it was a $40 or $50 pre-order card. People buying this at insane prices, and it came out and saw 0 play and plummeted to like it had like a price memory of a couple of dollars because it's a mythic as well, so it's like a higher rarity. So it's a card that was overhyped. People like you will just shoot people in the upkeep. They'll tap all their creatures. They can't cast spells. Then you'll untap. Turns out you won't do that because that's spending all your mana to do it, and you're just stalling out, and they will just untap again and kill you. So it wasn't good. There is a flip version of this, which is like draw cards and gain life. It's like almost like the mirrored version in blue-white. That's all loads of play. Sphinx's Revelation. But this card was hyped to all hell. Like it's going to be a problem card, and then saw 0 play, and to this day still sees 0 play.
I can see why. Like it's got the text on it. That does a lot.
Yes.
And when you evaluate that about actually playing it. It's I can see why it was. Card
assessment is very hard, and even harder if you don't know the game like you don't. But but you assessed that in the same way that the entirety of like MTG The Source did back in 2006 or whenever it was, 2013. Sorry, God, time. Right, okay. Next up, this is Final Fortune. It looks like an arcade cabinet because this is what Magic's like now. We just have frames that look like fucking nonsense. This is 2 red mana. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game.
It's time rewind, or didn't you also call it in Magic? Is it time? Or
yeah, there's time. The famous one is Time Walk. 2 blue and 1. Take an extra turn. That was it. Part of the power 9. Card's worth thousands of dollars in its alpha printing. Time Warp is 5 mana. Take an extra turn, and Time Warp is still pretty good at 5 mana. This is 2 mana. For an extra turn, but then you die if you don't use it well enough.
I mean, it's taking an extra turn. I mean, it's always good because I suppose you just don't play it until you've got lethal.
But that's the thing. If you don't have lethal, it's just dead card in hand, right?
True, that is true.
Or is it?
You could top deck lethal.
You could.
So it's just red, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, double red as well. So it's harder to play in multicolored decks. So you need 2 red for it. But that's easier than you'd think with the way lands work in Magic these days.
Yeah, because my experience of lands is you get 7 cards in your opening hand.
Correct.
And if you want to mull, you have to give 1 card. Well, you shuffle them, but you have to give 1 card away.
Correct. So you draw 7 again, but then you'd bottom one of the cards once you finish resolving the mulligan, or 2 cards if you've done 2 mulligans, or 3 if you've done 3.
I mean, I won't have to think too much about this because it's just taking an extra turn. From my experience, is just broken in most scenarios.
Sure, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. So, are you saying good or playable or staple or banned?
How modern is this? 2000 to this year.
So this arcade printing was this year. The original version, I think, is like 6th edition. Let me triple check for you. No, Mirage, same set as Brushwagg.
No, it seems like banned then.
Let me show you the original art as well, because it's Mirage, just like this desert island sort of like theming with like a sort of like, I don't know, Pan-African elements and stuff. The original art is very cool.
The original one. Oh wow.
Yeah, like look, the 2 people fighting in this like
such a strange like juxtaposition.
I know. Actually, I hadn't thought of that before. I put it in because the arcade cabinet makes me laugh. But actually, yeah, going from this very serious like 2 warriors fighting to the mortal death, and like in a different culture with different outfits, and then we just go arcade cabinet rocket ship. And you're just like, okay, sure.
Oh, that's cool though. Yeah, it makes sense there because obviously the artwork depicts you have 1 strike to make, otherwise you're gonna get.
If anything, I think the artwork below makes more. I guess the cabinet does fit the theme of a Final Fortune, like your final chance to win a level. I guess I don't know. They're both pretty cool in uniquely different ways. Magic is quite wide in scope. So how are you assessing Final
I
Fortune?
gotta go banned if it's that old.
Okay, it's bordering on unplayable. There is a small amount of play. So interestingly, like Final Fortune is like $17 in its original printing and $12 in the secret layer one you just seen, because it sees some play in Commander, I believe. Someone can tell me if there's a weird Final Fortune deck in like pre-modern or something. But in Commander, you can do weird combo stuff. Like there is a Sundial of the Infinite where you can end your turn. So if you cast this for the extra turn, go to your extra turn, go to your end step, put the trigger on the stack to lose the game, it's like a delayed trigger, you can then end your turn, which exiles everything that's on the stack. Very complicated magic here, which will exile the part that's going to make you lose a turn. So it's a combo piece with Sundial of the Infinite and similar stuff like that. It is a combo card for Commander. So I'm saying it's bordering on unplayable. It's playable in Commander, but it's been unplayable in competitive games. Hang on. I'm lying to you. There's a printing of it in, so that we did these gold border reprints of like powerful decks from powerful formats back in the day. There's a gold border printing of Final Fortune. Oh god, someone's already typed this out in the comments. I've realized it after they typed it. I'm sorry, whoever caught this. This was in a World Championship deck. So in 1996, this was in a deck that I'm not aware of that would have won or placed highly in a World Champs. So actually, it's not banned. You were wrong there. But it actually was highly playable in 1996 then, and I've missed this.
That's cool. So I guess the gold borders, did they release the full deck?
Yes, correct. And they're not tournament legal. They're basically proxies.
Yeah.
So there are gold border printings of cards that are like $1,000, and then you get the gold border one that was worth nothing. But then as Commander's got popular, it's not a competitive format. People are playing the gold border ones and just letting people play them. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
So the gold border ones are now getting a price tag. That's $15 for the gold border one. The gold border one's almost as expensive as the original, even though it's technically not legal in any competitive format. God, I put this in there thinking it's a stinker, and then live on camera, I'm like, actually, I think I fucked this up. Sorry to everyone involved. I'm a hack and a fraud. But we haven't got time
for Pokemon as well, where they do.
They do,
and they have the player sign it.
Yeah, so Pokemon still does it. They reprint really good stuff. Like I bought one of them just to play with and stuff. They don't do this in Magic anymore. We don't get the gold border stuff. We actually.
Oh, go on. Did he still do the? You know when someone wins the Worlds or whatever the circuit is for Magic? Did he still do the artwork for
the Invitational? Yes. So for the Invitational, a player gets to like roughly design a card. The design team tune it up, and then their face gets onto it. So I'll put on screen now. There's a knight with Javier Dominguez's face on it. So I'll put that on screen now. Fervent Champion, I think it's called. So yeah, that still happens, which is very cool. So I love that, but the accessibility side of things, now when they reprint these proxies that aren't tournament legal, it was 4 booster packs of the original alpha set in a box, and it was $1,000 for 4 boosters of it, for cards you can't play in a tournament. It was the worst product they've ever made, and it was lambasted. I made so many videos taking the piss out of it. Dog shit, truly dog shit. To go from like, here's a $30 proxy of like one of the best decks ever, to here's $1,000 for 4 randomized boosters. You might not even open the cards that people might want, like the dual lands. Dog shit, my friend.
And what were they for? Just to put display, or
just to collect, or like play in your like casual. But like if I'm playing casually, I'm just gonna fucking print them. Just go to Wish.com. I don't condone this, but like you can go to Wish.com and get this shit, right? Like why would I buy proxies for $1,000 when I can get them for like 50 cents to the card? The cube that I own, I have a vintage cube, which is a whole. I'm more saying this for the viewers, Dave. I'm not going to explain what a cube is to you right now, but it's a limited environment. It's like Arena, but physical cards. It's completely proxy because it's playing all the most powerful cards in Magic. It's got a Black Lotus in it, but I don't own a Black Lotus. I'm never going to buy one. If I had one, I wouldn't take it to the pub with me. So my cube is completely proxied, but it's clearly proxied because the backs show that they're fake, they're not real, and it's not trying to deceive anyone. So why buy $1,000 proxies from Wizards? But now we're getting into dramas, and I didn't want this to be a drama video, but here we are.
I heard you're getting Sonic.
We've already had it. It's been and gone.
He's already gone.
Yeah, yep.
You had Final Fantasy,
been and
Lord
gone.
of the Rings, Sonic.
Yep.
I saw the SpongeBob.
Okay. On that note, then you've guessed the next one.
Oh.
So for people who haven't seen this before, this is that the guy who owns Krabby Patties?
That's Mr. Krabs.
Yeah. So Mr. Krabs lying in a pile of money. The card's called Smothering Tide. It's 4 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Do you want to know what a treasure token is?
I think I need to know what a treasure token is.
It's a artifact token, so it enters the battlefield as an artifact, which costs 0. It just appears when you trigger and make one, and it can be sacked to create 1 mana of any color that you want. So it's accelerating you.
Is that a permanent mana, or is it?
You have to sacrifice it to get the mana.
So you sacrifice the artifact, but then
Correct.
is that mana permanent?
No, sorry. Very important, yeah.
When
you tap a land, you get 1 mana for the turn. When you sack a treasure, you get 1 mana for the turn. It doesn't go and find you a land, it just makes you a mana. Important distinction that new players are like, because I'm bombarding you with shit here, but that's part of the fun.
So once the token has been sacked, it just goes into your
mana pool,
graveyard or whatever, or
doesn't go to the graveyard because it's a token. It ceases to exist.
Just got it.
So every time your opponent draws a card, remember you draw a card once per turn as well. They have to pay 2 mana. If they choose not to pay 2 mana, you get a free treasure for your next turn or during their turn to make mana.
Oh god, they've got to pay.
They've got to pay
2 mana.
They got to pay. Do you pay the 2? Do you pay the 1? It's in a similar vein to how part of White's colour identity is setting rules and asking you to obey them. You saw White with Thalia doing it. Here again, it's doing like do you want to pay the 2 or would you like to share the wealth?
An enchantment is this a permanent?
Correct.
Staple to the battlefield.
Yep, sits in play. Enchantments and artifacts are very similar, just they get interacted with different cards. One card might destroy an artifact, but not an enchantment, or vice versa.
Yeah. So you don't need to put this on a minion, it can
Correct.
just exist.
If it was an aura, it would go onto a minion.
Okay.
It's not an
aura is minion, enchantment, separate.
So auras are types of enchantment. It's a subtype. So you have enchantments that come into play and sit on the board, and aura enchantments attached to something, and they'll tell you on the card what it attaches to. A creature. Sometimes your aura is attached to your own lands. Magic's very complicated, but that's part of the charm.
Yeah, I mean, if I played Magic first, I would I would know all this obviously now, but I would be more. It'd be more entertaining. It's probably like more interesting to build decks because you got so many different like interactables.
I agree to an extent. There is a beauty in simplicity, though, right? There is an argument that at times Magic is too complicated. I love complicated Magic, but I'm also a boomer who's been playing for like 20 plus years, right? Where for new players coming in, there's one of the arguments right now is that standard's too complicated. There's 6 sets in standards. They're just constantly bombarded with new stuff. So like your deck is only legal for less than 8 weeks until you get the new standard where isn't necessarily illegal, but it means like new stuff is out. So your deck might be not good enough anymore or need new cards. So the game moves at a pace and has so much stuff coming into it that I would say that's not necessarily a positive. However,
is the Sonic and like Final Fantasy stuff, is that standard legal or?
This is actually great because trying to explain to a new player kind of highlights how fucked Magic is right now. Sonic is not standard legal because it's a secret lair product printed directly to print to consumer. Not print to consumer. Sorry, direct to consumer. So they print some of them. They're gone when they're gone. They're not printed to demand. There's a limited number of them. You buy them from their website and they send them to you. That's secret lair. That's legal in Commander and Legacy, which is like the oldest format in the game, right? Which is where Thalia sees a lot of play. Thalia is a staple in Legacy, for example. Final Fantasy was a tentpole, what's called a premiere set release, which means it went into Standard and thus goes into every format in the game. Standard, going backwards with legality, Standard, Pioneer, Modern, and so on. So Final Fantasy is currently in Standard. Vivi, Ornithir, the little black wizard with the big hat from Final Fantasy X. 9, sorry, you're correct. Is currently the best card in Standard, arguably. He is currently dominating the format with thanks to a cauldron that comes from Magic. So arguable which card is the best card, but together they are like 50% win rate, like fucking yeah. So anyway, your question was yes. So Final Fantasy is in Standard, but Sonic is not. So to answer your question in a proxy way, Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and so on were not in Standard. However, this is a reprint of a card that is legal in some older formats like Pioneer, for example. This card went through Standard at one point.
So whenever an opponent draws a card, and I guess your opponent can outside of the turn, like they draw one naturally on the turn, but they can also play a card that also.
Correct. You can also play cards that force people to draw cards. So, for example, let me show you a card, and I'll ask you whether you think it's good with this one. That's a bit of a leading question. So, Wheel of Fortune. I accidentally almost showed you the French one. I won't show you the French one. Wheel of Fortune is 3 mana. All players must discard their hand and draw 7 cards. So, in a situation where you're playing 1v1, if you were to Wheel of Fortune someone with a Smothering Tithe, they would discard their hand, draw 7, and put 7 triggers on the stack. And for each trigger, they must pay 2 mana. If they don't, you make a treasure. And often, if you're casting this on turn 3, the opponent doesn't have 14 mana, so they can't even pay for it if they wanted to. Now, extrapolate that. This is a clue for where we're getting to. Imagine you're in Commander. Have you played any Commander?
I've not played any.
Okay. But you knew about it. How did you know about it if you haven't played it?
I watch lots of videos about different stuff, and I just pick up stuff from the.
I guess Commander has derailed Magic so hard that someone looking from the outside in knows what it is. But imagine in Commander, you cast Wheel of Fortune. There's 3 other players. They all discard their hand and draw 7 cards. That means 21 Smothering Tithe triggers go on the stack, each one requiring 2 mana. Otherwise, you get a treasure. Can you see where I'm going with this?
Yes. So I mean, all by itself, like. This is like the equivalent of getting a coin in
Correct.
Hearthstone.
It's exactly like a coin, except I guess a coin is weird because a coin triggers like spell effects. If you have a creature in play that has, is there other creatures that when you cast a spell do a thing?
Yeah. It's like Tunnel Trogs gain attack if your opponent casts a spell.
So if the opponent casts coin because it's a 0 mana card, right? It triggers your troll.
Yeah, it could trigger. That's just like a really basic one, but it could trigger. It could trigger a troll.
So that's the distinction. Coin is a spell. Treasures are never spells, but they are artifacts. So if you have things that trigger when artifacts enter or leave the battlefield, it triggers them. If you have a creature that gets bigger with the number of artifacts in play, it gets bigger. There's a lot of synergies that treasures also play into. So very, if anything, more synergistic than what coin often does, I guess.
I mean, so at the least, you're making your opponent pay 2 mana. So you're disrupting their turn.
Yep.
And if they don't do that, next turn you're going to have additional mana. Or I guess. Oh no, not even next turn. On the same turn, I guess you could you activate this on their turn if you needed to pay for like a counter spell or something like that.
Exactly that. Let me show the audience in case they don't know counter spell. Let's look at the original bad boy. And by original, I'm going to show you the SpongeBob printing.
Oh, they reprinted it in SpongeBob.
Yeah, so Counterspell is already a card that has a bit of a meme status of being like, oh no, you can't do that. Yeah. Now imagine if it's SpongeBob on the art and the card is done in this text where it's alternating capital letters.
Is that real?
That is real. But interestingly, okay. This is where we're derailing, but I think it's derailing in a way that I think is fantastic. So when you bought the Secret Lair, you got 4 cards, 4 different SpongeBob themed reprints of cards. I think Smothering Tithe might have been in the same lair. Someone in the chat can tell us. This is the counterspell you get. Counterspell without the alternating text. When you buy a Secret Lair, you buy 4 cards, and then when it arrives on your doorstep, you open it as a 5th secret card. Every single one is a secret card. Some of them are shit. It'll be a random elf with an extended R, and everyone's like, fuck, I got a random elf. Sometimes they arrive, and Reddit goes mad because it's the counterspell everyone wanted. Everyone said when it got revealed, why the fuck doesn't it do the alternative text thing? And it turns out the counterspell that you might get as one of the secret cards, again, it's random, it's like gambling, if you will. Wizards won't say it, but I will. Is one of these. So the counterspell that's in the Secret Lair, the SpongeBob one there, is $17 to buy now, because you can't buy it anymore from the Secret Lair. The counterspell with the alternate in text that you might have opened as a random chance is $133 on the secondary market, because people want to counter people's stuff with SpongeBob doing the face, and then say, counter target spell in like the stupid voice, because it's just funny, right? At least it's funny the first time, perhaps obnoxious the second time. So you are right. If they draw 2 cards, don't pay, makes 2 treasures, you can then counter the spell they try and cast because you'll have 2 blue available.
I mean, it's not going to be banned because they just released it. So I'd say it's staple, which is a free.
No, staple was unplayable, playable, staple. Okay, yeah, staple. You got it. It's bordering on banned. Let me explain. So in this, Smothering Tithe wasn't really playable in constructed cards. I did ask you to think about constructed cards earlier. 60 card competitive. The reality is Smothering Tithe is an absolutely ludicrous Magic card that costs around $40. Let me just triple check that I'm right on this. $41 for the cheapest printing. No, $33 for the cheapest printing right now. The one that I've showed you, the Krabby Patties one, is currently $474 on the secondary market. That was one of the other secret cards then. It wasn't initially in the pack. You could just randomly get it as an extra one. Yeah. Smothering Tithe is a commander staple. If you're playing white, even in the highest power levels of the game, you should play it. It's so good, they've classed it as what's called a game changer. which is not a banned card, but it's a card that you should keep track of how many game changers are in your deck. So when you're trying to play your casual game with your friends, if your deck has 4 game changers and this has 0, your deck is grossly overpowered compared to theirs. So Smothering Tithe is staple, bordering into the banned category. You got it right, but it's a fascinating example of how complicated Magic is in all its facets.
Yeah, it's one of those cards where it must feel terrible for your opponent because you're either giving up 2
people
mana.
hate it. People hate it.
It's stopping you from drawing on your turn as well.
Well, you still get to draw. You always draw the card.
But it's stopping you from it if you wanted an additional.
That's the worst bit. Is that let's say you had 7 cards in hand, you can't even choose not to draw. You just have to draw your card and trigger the Smothering Tithe. So interestingly, there are cards in the game. So let me show you Ristic Study is the other version of this. So Ristic Study, I'm just going to tell you up front, this is already a game changer. Again, it's really bad in 1v1, but it's quite good. And by quite good, I mean it's broken in multiplayer. I'll show you the worst printing of it, in my opinion. This is the ugliest Magic card they've printed in the last 2 years. This is
Final Fantasy 10. Oh, that's like it's just like they're taking a PS2.
It is, isn't it? It's technically it's not. It's actually a promo image. It was an up resolution one that didn't feature in the game, but it's almost like for like a screenshot of that moment in the game, right? So Ristic Study, in this case, a reskinned version called Stay With Me. It's a 3-mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless they pay 1. So every time they cast a spell, you go, do you pay the 1? Which is already an annoying thing to do. That's like a meme in Magic. Do you pay the 1? If they don't, you draw a card. Now, in Ristic Study's case, 1 mana isn't that much. You can be like, okay, I'm going to pay my 3-mana spell, pay 1, don't let them draw. And everyone at the table needs to agree to not let the person with the study draw cards, otherwise they're going to get miles ahead. Smothering Tithe is like, actually, you don't even if you don't cast a spell, you still have to pay, and it's 2 fucking mana, so it's doubly as expensive as Ristic Study. So whilst getting a treasure isn't as good as drawing a card most of the time, trying to pay for Smothering Tithe is a pain in the ass, and it just derails games. Both of these cards are obnoxious, both of them are game changers. And before the game changing thing came in, people would just slam these in their decks and then play a casual game against like new players, and then have a Ristic Study and Smothering Tithe and play, and the new player's like, oh, I'm losing, but and they don't really know why. They don't understand how good these cards are. It's some brutal shit.
Anything that changes mana costs, even like in a subtle way, was you don't think like 1 extra mana would hurt too much just to upkeep, but yeah, you're at a massive disadvantage throughout the entire game. And
that's a fascinating example because Thalia, that we talked about, tells you have to pay 1 more. Study says you don't have to, but if you don't, I draw a card. And one of the common things in Commander is that newer players and, I'm going to say it, worse players will just be like, okay, I'm not paying. I'm never paying for Study. You get to draw cards. And the rest of the table are like, oh, don't do that because it puts them so far ahead and it just derails on And sometimes you're playing a multiplayer game. It's like playing Monopoly, but one person's just not buying houses. It's like, well, the game's not working if you do that. And they're like, I don't care. I'm here for my own fun. So you are hostage in this game. This person is just feeding the Ristic Study player.
Take a card. What's the max hand in Magic?
7.
Oh, it's only 7. Oh, so it's 7, but you still have to draw, but you just discard the card.
Correct. At the end of your turn, you do a clean up step and you discard down a 7. On that note, is this card, you can choose to rate, where would you rate this card? Reliquary Tower. It's a land. It taps for 1 colourless mana, so it makes no colours. But it says you have no maximum hand size. At the end of your turn, you will not have to discard the cleanup step. You have to keep all those cards you're drawing off Ristic Study.
I mean, so it's a land, so it's already useful.
Correct.
So colourless is...
so looking at the Ristic Study again, you can use that colours to pay for the generic 2 in its mana cost. It can pay in any generic cost. The X on Aurelia's Fury, you can pay this into it. Any of the generic costs and the other ones, you can pay it into it, but it doesn't tap for a colour. So if you were playing 4 of these, for example, and your opening hand had 2 of them in it, you probably aren't costed the coloured spells in your hand.
Yeah, you won't be very. You'll be very happy, I'd imagine. It will depend on what cards you have in the deck. So it's just like some cards just to have an X requirement, and this would meet it. I see.
Yeah, so it just taps for a colour, a generic colour. So it can't cast counter spell, but it can pay 1 of the 3 towards Wheel of Fortune. It can pay 1 of the 4 towards Smothering Tithe. So it does tap for mana, which is important in a land. So that's how you play the game.
Yeah. So yeah, no maximum hand size. I imagine that's that important. The no maximum hand size, but add 1 mana to your pool on tap. I mean, you probably just put that in anyway. I imagine put it into your deck because it's just a land and it taps. and it's got an upside, so why not?
Yes.
Put it
So in that case, where would you rate it?
I mean, I suppose I would say it would be staple.
Correct.
If it was,
In Commander. So this card doesn't really see competitive play in 60 card because you're rarely ever above 7 cards. If you're above 7 cards, you're normally winning, right? Also, discarding hand size isn't that big a thing. Competitive players know that actually keeping the 7 best cards and discarding ones you don't need right now is not a big downside. Often putting things in the graveyard is a positive because you can reanimate them or fuck with them. In Commander, players are obsessed with holding onto every card they possibly can and get very upset if you mill them or to make them discard. And thus, this is weirdly a staple in Commander. It's huge amounts of play. It might be in like upwards of like, I didn't check the EDH rec stats, but I'm assuming it's like 40% of decks probably play this. And they said it is kind of free. So when you have a land that has a spell-like ability on it, you just get that ability without having to cast the spell. I've made arguments in videos, and this is kind of a hot take from me, is that actually discarding a hand size is a positive if you're reanimating things, and thus don't worry about playing a fucking Reliquary Tower. Play a better colorless land with a better effect.
Yeah.
But people love this card. You are right, it is a staple. People play it. It's like $2 a pop for an uncommon from an old set. It's weirdly expensive.
It's one of those where like your hand size isn't usually an issue in games, I don't think, and discarding's not usually a big issue. Because you just play the cards, you just play the good cards from your hand typically.
Exactly. You play the you don't have to worry about discarding your like the cards you don't need right now. In that case, on that note, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite villains in Magic. This is Jin Gitaxias, Core Augur. He is a 10 mana, blue, and 8, legendary creature Praetor. He has Flash, so you can play him at instant speed in your opponent's turn. He says at the beginning of your end step, draw 7 cards. And your opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 7. Which means if you have him in play in your opponent's turn and they go to end step, they must discard down to 0.
And then they're just top decking.
Correct.
What? Hold on, he's 8 mana. Jeez, is that 10 mana?
10 mana, 2
10
blue
mana?
and 8.
Oh wow. See, I don't know how to evaluate the big boys because obviously this is an end game creature where if you drop this, play it, you've essentially most likely won unless your opponent manages to either draw a way to remove this or.
Because of course, what happens is you flash this in their second main phase, and then as you go to leave the main phase to the end step to trigger the clear up where you discard under 0, you can kill it. If you have a removal spell in hand, you just kill Jin Gitaxias, and the opponent's now played 10 mana to play a creature that got killed with a, let's say, a 1 mana spell, which is quite common, or 2 mana spell. So there is that inefficiency there, but in Magic, often people aren't paying 8 mana for big stuff. You're normally cheating it into play in some way.
I see. Right. So if there was a blue card or another card that could potentially cheat this in. As without that knowledge, it's hard to say because it's purely based on how often this sticks.
Does Hearthstone have much like cheating on mana costs?
Well, there's a lot of it, yeah.
Is there? Okay.
Every single deck, you'd be shocked. If you played Hearthstone now,
because like I said, I last played during Grim Patron era, and during that era, I don't recall there being like many ways to cheat out a fatty from hand. There might have been 1 or 2 things. I'm sure there was like a creature that when it died, it triggered and put a creature from your hand to play or something. There might have been like some sort of deck like that, perhaps. Yeah,
there was a deck that just got nerfed recently where you probably on turn 6, you would probably cheat out. I'd say about 30 mana.
What the fuck?
Worth of minions. So you'd play a card called Dorian. Then you would draw a card called, well, there's a pig. There's a big pig that costs 10 mana. This pig, when you play it, the next
What's
card
the pig called so I can put it on screen?
Oh god, a Maga Mana Man.
Okay, you can ping it to me after the call and I'll put it on screen.
I'll put it on for you. That's why we call it the pig, because it's so hard to.
And then so you play a spell and it just costs your opponent's life for the spell.
No, not even a spell. A card. It's a minion, and the next card you play costs opponent's life instead of mana. So what you do is you cheat this out because Dorian would draw it for 1 mana. So you draw a 10 mana card for 1 mana. Play the 1 mana version, then play the 10 mana version, which would cost the opponent's health. It would cost 10 health, and then you can play another 9 or 10 mana card and your opponent would take 19 damage.
So it's a combo kill, right? They normally die to this.
Oh, they would die immediately to it.
Yeah. Yes,
it was turn 6, so it was just recently changed, so it could not be done.
How do you feel about was the deck oppressive? Was it?
It was basically, it's like slot machine. So if your opponent drew the cards in the correct order, they would just win.
Right.
So
okay.
So it is basically.
It's so funny those terms. Those terms come across the Magic. The deck I was looking at yesterday called Slot Machine. I was like, this isn't Slot Machine. This is Show and Tell. But all the new Zoomers who grew up on digital Magic have all come from Hearthstone, right? So they're like, oh, they're using terms like Slot Machine, which is not really a term that was used in paper Magic much. So it's funny that I haven't heard that term referred to a deck in a while at all. I see it yesterday, and then you mentioned it again. It's you guys infecting our lexicon with your terminology.
Is it? What's there's a few Magic terms I think that are started off in Hearthstone.
Yeah, probably quite a few, I'd imagine. I imagine half of your lexicon was originally Magic lexicon as well. It's just part and parcel of how card games work, right?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even be able to tell you, brother. We probably just say them all the time and did not know.
Maybe that's our follow-up video. We get some terminology. I say we can do it back and forth. We can put out terminology like slang, and then you got to try and guess what it is, and how much crossover we have would be interesting. But on that note, for the people at home, are like, what does he think of Jin-Gitaxias? I'm gonna cop out a bit here. Yeah, it's either a 1 or a 5. No, what year is it? 1 or a 4. So you're saying it's unplayable or it's banned?
Or 4. Yeah, it's no in between. I don't think. With this card.
Basically a bit of a playable. So in the formats that it was in standard, it was reanimated for 4 mana on rare occasion, which was with the burial rights back in the day in 5-color fights.
So you can, once it dies, you can just resurrect
well, not even
it.
dies. So as we talked about earlier, you discard the hand size, right? So sometimes you draw some cards, and then at the end of the turn, you need to discard on the 7. So you put Jin-Gitaxias in the bin, in the graveyard. And then the most powerful reanimation spell is the classic OG Reanimate. So for 1 mana, put target creature from a graveyard into play, lose life equal to its power. So you'd lose 10 life. You've now got this 5/4 thing in play, pass to your opponent, and then because you pass to your opponent at the end of turn, you draw 7 cards, which is already insane, right? Drawing 7 cards is nuts. You still have maximum hand size. You draw 7 and then clean up, discarding your worst. So you'd basically just recycle your hand to a new 7, basically. Draw 7, discard 7, and then you pass to your opponent. If they can't kill it, they go to end step and lose their hand.
Yeah.
So it's playable. It's not a staple. But it's not unplayable. The card is Jin-Gitaxias is like $10+ because in Commander you do this, pass the turn, and if it goes on the table, all the other 3 players are all discarding their hands, and everyone is miserable, and you're just loving life with your new hand. And in Commander you start on 40 life as well, so losing 10 to put this into play is not much.
Oh, so yeah, your standard is 28 HP, but you get double in
no, standard
Commander.
is 20.
Standard's 20, yeah, and then Commander's 40.
40, correct. And life is a resource, as they say.
Yeah, I missed the value like completely. I thought it's either going to be completely unplayable because I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know if you have ways to like just play it for cheaper from the hand, but you're talking about bringing it back from the graveyard, which is obviously...
I am, but we can talk about the other one a little bit. I want to show you a card and you can tell me whether you think this card is good.
Oh, so this is the Reanimate.
So I've showed you Reanimate. That's the way you put it back into play at the graveyard. For the most efficient way, 1 mana, 10 life. Let me show you Show and Tell. So the original art is even better. Let me show you the original art. The original art is absolutely amazing. The original art is a student in the Thalia Academy, which is an in-canon school, and he's brought a monster to school with him. It's Show and Tell, right? And in his box, he's got like some sort of like fucking cryptid, like a kraken thing going on, right? And Show and Tell says, each player may choose an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land card from his or her hand and put that card into play. So, you cast this on turn 3, your opponent's playing aggro, so they put into play like a 2/2, and you put... It's not how they do it anymore, because Jin-Gitaxias has been power crept out. There's actually better versions of Jin-Gitaxias, but you put Jin-Gitaxias into play. So your opponent's got a 2/2, you got a 5/7 that draws you 7 cards and makes them discard 7 cards, and you're laughing, right? So that's Show and Tell. That's the blue version of this, the blue way to cheat. But to be clear for the people who are at home who are raging... I'm saying that Jin-Gitaxias was playable and is still playable in Commander and such, but we all know that Atraxa or Grizzlebrand are better versions of Jin-Gitaxias in the modern day.
That's cool, and it only costs 3 mana as well. So this
does.
This is exactly the same as a card. Oh, you get to pick. You get to choose. It's not random. Oh, okay.
It's
yeah.
not
I'm thinking
random,
of the Hearthstone
no.
equivalent, ancestral call or something like that, where it forces two players to summon a minion. So you
From
play
hand
this,
or deck?
from hand. So you'd only play like the biggest cards possible, and your opponent. You just hope that they're a lower end of minion.
Or you get the mirror, and then you both put ludicrous things into play, and then.
That's it, yeah. And then
So
you just fight it out.
the most common thing Show and Tell's putting into play right now. Instead of assessing, I'm going to show you. Okay, actually, you can assess this card knowing that Show and Tell exists. Okay.
Okay.
This is a bit leading as well, but chat, I think this is fun. Right? This is the whole point of the video, is to show you how cool Magic can be. This is Omniscience. It costs 10 mana. It costs blue 7. So it's actually quite hard to cast if you haven't got enough blue mana. Enchantment. The art depicts our basically our main character walking into the horizon of the multiverse itself. He's just attaining Omniscience. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. What do you think?
So you basically pay nothing.
Nothing to cast your hand.
Yeah. So Show and Tell. I mean, obviously you'd gear it towards like a spell casting deck. And I think isn't blue...
importantly, we haven't done this distinction. Spells aren't just spells in Hearthstone. Spells are everything in Magic. Creatures, artifacts, enchantments, instant sorceries are all spells. Sorry, we didn't make that clear earlier, and I thought something you said made me think about that. So just counter spell will counter anything in the game. There's a reason it still sees play in Commander. You just pay 2 blue mana, counter your thing. You play Jin-Gitaxias in my turn, I counter it. You've paid 10 mana, I've paid 2. The casual Jin-Gitaxias player, if that's a category that exists, is now upset.
I see. Is there anything that wouldn't classify as a spell?
Cards in hand are spells put on stack. Lands are not.
Lands are not. So
to cast a spell, you put it onto stack by paying its mana and it goes on stack. Once the spell resolves and it ends the battlefield, it becomes what it is. It becomes an enchantment permanent, an artifact permanent, a creature permanent, or so on. But a spell is a spell in hand or a spell on the stack.
So you can play anything. For zero. And it unlimited. You could play your entire hand if you wanted.
Because you're meant to pay 10 mana. You're meant to pay 10 mana to get this effect, right?
Yeah.
You're meant to survive the game, ramp up, play it, have stuff still in hand. Or, hear me out, we cast it on turn 2 off Show and Tell.
Yeah, and then
Bob's your uncle.
I guess these don't exist. 2024. And then Show and Tell.
So Omniscience is currently in standard. The little orange star you see there is the latest set called. So the latest core set called Foundations. Foundations is cards that will be legal in standard for 5 years. It's the foundational bedrock of Magic. And for some fucking reason, they were like, let's put in possibly the most powerful enchantment ever printed, or at least in the top 10 category. Show and Tell is not legal in standard, but Omniscience is currently in a deck in standard that's just rotated, where you just reanimate out of the graveyard. You'd reanimate as a 1/1 bird creature, I think it was, or spirit, off of another card, and then you have Omniscience in play, and you just go fucking wild. You cast a card that draws you 3 cards, then you cast all 3 of those cards, and your opponent's just like, what's going on?
I mean, so it's in standard now, so it's not a 4, but
it is or did it just get banned? I've already fucking buried the goose, haven't I? I told you it's rotated. I'm misremembering. It hasn't rotated. They banned it. So the card that reanimated Omniscience was banned. And the logic was that the spell of Bula's Awakening that reanimates it might just be a problem further down the line when they print other good enchantments. Where Omniscience is kind of a unique one where it's quite hard to get into play. It's not that hard. There's a creature in the format that when it attacks, it gets to put a spell, a permanent from your hand into play after combat.
Do you have ban lists in Commander?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's probably a 3 in Standard. Is it a 4 in Commander?
No, not banned. Not even a game changer. Not considered a game changer in Commander. But staple is correct. This is a staple in Legacy, the oldest format of the game. You Show and Tell it in and do crazy shit in a tier 2 deck. In Timeless, which is the digital version of Legacy, this is like the best deck in the format. You Show and Tell out Omniscience, then cast a creature that is better than Jin-Gitaxias for free. It is wild. And then in Standard, it was one of the best decks in the format, top 3, like the best, the trifecta, until they banned Bula's Awakening. So Omniscience is a staple in 3 formats right now, maybe 4, arguably. Interestingly, so here's an anecdote for you. Remember Thalia from the very beginning of the game that we talked about? So Thalia says non-creature spells your opponent tries to cast cost 1 more. So when they so they show and tell. You put in Thalia, they put in Omniscience, and they tap their 3 mana. Now, all the non-creature spells in their hand that are free still cost 1 generic mana. So Thalia puts the brakes on it. So I had a game the other day where my opponent had never seen this before, and they spent like literally 2 minutes like hovering their hand, being like, why can't I cast these spells? Why do they cost 1 more? I'm like, because of Thalia, baby. And then I untapped, blew up the Omniscience, blew up one of their lands, and then they couldn't play Magic anymore. So there is counterplay to all this dumb, nonsensical shit. And it's really fun that in Magic, like some of the counterplay is a 2 mana woman who just shows up and she's like, enough of this nonsense. There's
a few cards like that in Hearthstone where you can make your hand cost like 0 in some cases. There's an old card called Celestial Alignment as a druid, and this was a weird card when it was printed in its original format. It was 7 mana spell, and it would make you and your opponent's cards cost 1 mana. Everything would cost 1 mana, but it would drop everyone's mana crystals back down to 0.
Interesting.
It kind of resets the mana in the game, but now so you would scale your card to have like a bunch of 10 mana cards or high cost cards, and then you could cycle through the deck very quickly, whereas your opponent's deck wasn't built to do this.
Yeah.
So as soon as this card was played in its original format, you'd have basically won the game, because now your opponent's playing at such a disadvantage.
But there was obviously counterplay in the sense that because it costs 8 mana, your opponent is like slamming you with like Warlock Face or whatever. Like there was counterplay in the sense that it didn't always win, so right? Yeah.
You'd have to rush to kill your opponent. Yeah, that's true. But Druid
inevitability.
At the time, I think had such good ramp that they could do this sometimes on turn 4.
Right.
So you'd have such a short window to do it, and once they had done it, that a lot of their cards could re-ramp back up and then like draw like 5 cards with different.
And I guess in Hearthstone, the great thing about Magic when you come to all this fucking nonsensical combo shit is that because counterspell and versions of it exist, someone can cast an 8 mana spell and you counter it for 2. You've got huge mana advantage there. You spent far less resources. Where Hearthstone and LOTR and other games that don't have that that interaction, there's still traps, right? There's traps in Hearthstone.
Yeah, there's secrets.
Sorry, not traps.
Counterspell. But if you play it, you have to play it on your turn, leading into their turn. So there's no real interaction because your opponent could just play coin. And then just
so they need basically what's called a popper, right? In Flesh and Blood, you need a card that pops the counter spell before you.
Yeah, it's kind of like traps in Yu-Gi-Oh, I suppose, as well. That's like
they're played ahead of the time too. And Magic has a lot of random mechanics where you play things face down. You're not quite sure what they are, and they can flip up to get your opponent, but they're just not quite. They're not quite as good as like having cards in hand that you do it with, right? Because then you don't have to spend the counter spell. So it's interesting because like. There is counterplay, but Hearthstone's counterplay window is smaller by nature of the lack of instant speed interaction, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like a setup. You have to be aware of what your opponent's likely to do. So say your opponent's next turn is 8 mana, they're likely to that. Then you can play a counter spell on that turn 7, because their only option is then to either pop it for 8 and get the counter, or delay the turn for another turn, giving you another window to attack.
Yeah. It's delaying. It's exactly that, right? Same with Thalia. Like Thalia is a delay tactic often because you'll play it and it means that their Wrath, their sweeper that kills your table, instead of being 5 mana is now 6 mana, which gives you a whole other turn of attacking. And if you're like an aggro deck, that could kill them. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I got one more card I'm going to show you today. This will be the final one because I'm itching to show you this. This is Bazaar of Baghdad. This is a land.
I've heard of this.
Oh,
this is on one of those. I've not read it, but I've seen the artwork. I think it was on one of the.
You might know because like
the history.
Yeah, it's a very famous historical card, and Wubby did a cosplay of it recently. I think was a thing I saw online. So it's bled out of the normie. It's bled, not normie. Not bringing up the right word. It's bled out of the esoteric Magic scene. Okay, I want to read it to you because this looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, but with much better art. Bazaar of Baghdad says tap to take 2 cards from your library, after which you must immediately discard 3 from your hand to your graveyard. If you don't have 3 or more cards in your hand, discard your whole hand. No spells may be cast between the drawing and discarding of the cards. To explain that in modern terms, for your errata, it says tap this land, draw 2 cards, then discard 3 cards. Draw 2, discard 3.
And drawing is drawing quite difficult to do in Magic, or
not particularly. Like the going rate is normally like the famous example of it is 3 mana divination, speckled divination. 3 mana draw 2. It's like unplayable constructed magic. It's okay in limited like arena. You really want to like 2 mana to draw a card is fine. 1 mana to draw 1 card is fine. You really want 1 mana with some scrying and draw a card. That's kind of a common thing. So look at the top 2 cards of your library. You can move to the bottom or the top. So you get a bit of library manipulation, then draw. That'd be very strong. So probably a rate of 1 to 2 mana a card. So this draws you 2 but discards 3. So there is a downside.
And this is a colorless land, is it?
It is, but it's got. If you have you spotted the very weirdness thing about this card?
Yeah, there's no. Usually lands have like a little symbol on them, don't they?
Correct.
In the top right.
No, not normally top right, but normally like in the text box or similar to tell you like what mana it taps for. This doesn't have a symbol because it's not a basic land. And if you look at Reliquary Tower again from earlier, Reliquary Tower has a text line saying you may tap, add 1 to your mana pool. Bazaar of Baghdad doesn't have that. Lands don't inherently tap for mana. Bazaar does not tap for mana.
Oh, yeah, because I can see that there you got add 1 and it's got the token on the tower. So it doesn't tap for when you tap it, it only taps to draw 2 and then discard 3.
Yeah, so it's what we call card disadvantage, right? Card advantage is drawing cards and putting cards in your hand, or maybe virtual advantage is putting things onto the board. This is quite literally you play the land and then you tap it, draw 2, discard 3. You can do that the next turn as well, but you're always going down in cards. If your hand is empty, you just discard your hand. Sorry, if your hand is less than 3 cards, you just end up discarding everything in your hand.
Yeah, so if it's less than 3, then you just go in 2 for 2.
Not even 2 for 2, you're going under 0.
Oh yeah, you go to 0, but then you not draw the 2 cards.
No, you draw first. That's an important distinction. Some cards in the game say, so there are cards in the game that say discard a card, draw 2, right? Okay. And that's really powerful because if your hand is empty, you actually just get the 2 for free. The discard part doesn't matter. This is quite literally draw 2 cards and then discard 3. Okay. It is topsy-turvy compared to a lot of the effects. Like, I'll show you a card that got banned in Modern as an example of how good this kind of effect can be. But it is kind of topsy-turvy by comparison. So Faithless Looting, which is currently unbanned in Modern, but it was banned once upon a time, says, and this card was saw a lot of play, sees a lot of play in all formats that it's legal in, or reasonable amount of play, should I say. 1 red, draw 2, discard 2, and then 3 mana to play out of the graveyard again, draw 2, discard 2. So there's no advantage there, because you're spending a card, and you're changing 2 cards in your hand for 2 cards, and you're drawing 2, discarding 2. But Bazaar doesn't even do that. Bazaar is draw 2, discard 3. So does that seem good to you? Is this a stinker? Is this a red herring? Is this famously bad or is it famously good?
Yeah, so I thought originally when I looked at that, then I didn't realize the draw that you could basically play all your cards in hand, play this, and discard nothing and then gain 2.
That if it did that, it'd probably be probably one of the most powerful lands in Magic if that was what it
did. Okay. I mean, it depends on obviously the quality of the cards that you have in hand. I mean, I know sometimes you draw too many lands or not enough.
Sure.
So re-rolling.
So filtering is good. Yeah, filtering is good for that reason. Correct.
Yeah, it's like it's exactly like Mulligan. The Mulligan, you always lose 1 card.
Yeah.
To re-roll the hand. And what year was this? 1993.
This is from Magic's first real expansion.
Yeah. So I mean, in the context of 1993, I imagine draw would be lesser useful. I think. Well,
actually, so interestingly, in Alpha, the first Magic set, they really fucked some of the power scaling. They didn't really understand how the game worked yet. So there's a card called Ancestral Recall, which is banned in almost every format it's legal in. It's restricted in Vintage. So Ancestral Recall, you can play 1 copy in Vintage, which is like the format where like you can play every card in Magic.
Yeah.
Ancestral Recall says 1 blue mana, draw 3 cards. It is absolutely cracked. And it is restricted in Vintage, banned in Legacy. And if you have a copy of it, I think the cheapest copy of Ancestral Recall is like... the cheapest copy is a gold border one at 600 euros. Card's very good.
I don't want to underestimate the... Oh yeah, I've seen that guy. Yeah, Ancestral Recall.
Yeah, he's
I've seen
famous
it on,
part
like,
of Magic Art.
People collecting cards like getting this in the packs when they're opening the
there's a big that's really cool. One of the biggest hits you can get in a whole pack. But Bazaar, it is famous. Like you said, you are aware of it. But is it famously bad or famously good? Because Brushwagg is also a card that almost transcends the barriers of esoteric niche knowledge because it's one of our memes. So I'm trying not to lead you here. I want you to try and assess it. Am I showing you a dog shit card that's famously bad, or is it a staple, or is it banned? Or is it just playable?
I mean, now you're showing me the 1-mana draw free, and it's around the same period.
These would have been played in the same era of Magic.
Same era. Obviously, if you're playing blue, you wouldn't bother putting this in, but because it's colorless and it can be run by anything, I'd be leaning towards that. It's pretty good. I know, like, it doesn't seem good because you're playing at a disadvantage, but you are potentially re-rolling a hand that could be quite useless. Like,
so you put it in category 2, which is playable, or category 3, which is staple?
Yeah, I'd playable. I'd say 2.
Okay. So this card is banned in Legacy. So in the format, Vintage is everything. Legacy is like everything with a ban list. It's banned because this is probably the best land in Magic, or one of the top 3. It's actually insane. And for not quite the so I was hoping you might, this is not, it sounds teachery, but because we talked about Reanimate already, I thought you might get the gist of putting things in the graveyard isn't necessarily a downside. So Bazaar of Baghdad, the physical cost of it is $2,000. The card costs...
You're putting a big creature purposely in.
Correct.
And then you reanimate it.
So in Cube, which is like the limited environment where you play with the most powerful cards, that's kind of what you do with Bazaar. You put something in the bin and reanimate it. In Vintage, you actually play a very complicated, or pseudo-complicated, it's not complicated what you know, deck called Dredge. So I can't explain everything about Dredge to you right now, but in essence, I'll show you one card and explain how this goes. Oh god, maybe this is a can of worms I shouldn't open up at the end of the video, but here we go. So, Bazaar of Baghdad allows you to activate it, draw 2, discard 3. And you put Golgari Grave Troll or similar Dredge cards into the bin. And Dredge says, if you would draw a card, you may mill 6 cards instead. That's put cards directly from your graveyard into your library. Sorry, library into your graveyard. If you do, return this card to your hand. So you activate, you draw 2, you discard 3 dredges. Next turn you draw a card, you decide to dredge 6 instead. So you don't draw a card, you put 6 cards into your graveyard. Then you activate this, you've got other dredges in the bin, you're just dredging, your whole library ends up in your graveyard by turn 2, maybe turn 3. And then you've got loads of effects like, there's a jellyfish called Narcomoeba. I'm giving the absolute fucking cliff notes of a very famously powerful deck here, okay? Narcomoeba says, when it enters the graveyard from your library specifically, put it into play. So you get a free 1/1, okay? And then Prized Amalgam says, at any point a creature enters your play from the graveyard, trigger, put your Prized Amalgams into play. So now you got 4 3/3s because your whole deck's in your bin. And then Creeping Chill says, when it goes to your graveyard from your library, shoot your opponent for 3 damage and gain 3 life. And then Dread Return says, sack 3 creatures, reanimate any creature in your graveyard. And that's normally the way you win. So you put all this you put all this shit in your bin via Bazaar plus Dredge. So you're just fucking decking yourself. You're nothing left. You're like Ian Beale from EastEnders, right? Nothing left. And then all these triggers happen. You untap on your next turn, you put in your card in your deck, so you die if you've got no cards left in your library. Then you Dread Return, and you bring back any card that like instantly wins you the game. So there's a card called, the old combo was Flamekin Zealot. I'm bombarding you with shit, but this is the final one of like stupid combo. Yeah. Flamekin Zealot says when it enters the battlefield, creature you control +1/+1 and haste. So you just one-shot them with all the creatures you put into play. But nowadays, there's no cool endings. Every fucking deck in every format seems to win with what's called Thassa's Oracle. And this brings us to like one of the magnetic talking points of Magic. That's a good point to end on. Thassa's Oracle says, when it enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library where X is your devotion to blue. In this case, blue will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because of the Narcomoebas. And then you can put them back in any order. And then if your deck is smaller than your devotion to blue, in this case is 6, you win the game. So you deck yourself, make a Thassa's Oracle, and instantly win. You don't have to go to combat. It doesn't matter what they can block with. It just doesn't matter. You've won the game off of a singular trigger from Thassa's Oracle. And that, my friend, is why Bazaar of Baghdad is one of the best lands in Magic. And it's why it's banned in Legacy.
So I was analysing that from a
You were doing
purely
fair. That's the term we use. Fair. Like drawing cards, discarding cards in a very like 1-for-1, playing a little creature. And no, Bazaar of Baghdad just does the most egregiously dumb shit. And if you haven't got a way to, and Magic's full of ways to interact with the graveyard, by the way. There's plenty of like artifacts that can do that.
Not so much a thing in. I don't think they even have an actual visible graveyard in Hearthstone. They kept it it's there, but you can't see it. You don't know. You can't keep track of it. Obviously, you just have to remember what minions.
Because the cards that pull from graveyard and Hearthstone or pull from previously played are like few and far between, right?
They don't even do that. They have resurrection mechanics, but it just says resurrect the minion that's died, so you can endlessly resurrect the same minion over and over again. So it doesn't actually pull that physically from the graveyard. It just checks to see if
one of them has died this game and it can res it.
Just does a check, yeah. Just does one check.
So the graveyard in Magic, so the Hearthstone doesn't have it, and in Magic the graveyard is like one of the most broken resources in the game because like there's this shit. Like we said, we've got reanimating Jin-Gitaxises and stuff. You've got dredging up Thassa's Oracle or Flamekin Zealot back in the day. You've got things like there are spells that just cost less if there's a certain number of cards in your graveyard, a mechanical threshold. There's cards that allow you to exile cards from your graveyard to reduce their cost. There are cards that just get better if there's 4 types of permanents in the bin. Again, all sorts of things I can show you that I'm not going to bombard you with. I've already showed you half of a dredge deck. That's probably a little bit much to end this hour-long call where we're both hungry, ready for lunch. And Vince is like, look at all this dredge stuff. But yeah, the graveyard is like probably one of the most broken areas of Magic, and that's why a lot of decks have to either... Because don't forget, Magic often is played in best of 3 as well. So you have a sideboard of 15 cards. So if they go turn 1, dredge you to death, which can happen with dredge decks in internal formats. In game 2, you may have cards that like stop them on turn 1. That can be counter spells. That can be Leyline of the Void is a famous card. I need to show you this actually. This is a very good example of how Magic has an insane amount of weird counterplay. So Leyline of the Void is a 4-mana enchantment that says if it's in your opening hand when you start the game, you may reveal it. If you do, it enters play immediately. And then it says, if a card would be put into your opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. This card coming to play immediately makes Dredge shit itself. There is some counterplay back again, but it means they have to play a lot of fair Magic where they're like drawing cards and making mana and casting spells to kill it, and then they can pop off. So there's loads of... Like, Magic is deeply complicated and nuanced, and it's one of its strengths, but also one of its weaknesses when trying to lure someone like yourself in. Like, do you want to... Yeah. And also, I'm also doing this thing where I'm bombarding you with shit from old formats.
Well, I mean, each like standard expansion that comes out for all card games usually introduce like keyword or a new mechanic. The ones I watched recently of Magic where you had like a legendary creature that would get food tokens, and people were not very happy about this. Is it like not a legendary creature, but it's like you put it on the side of the table. It's like and it could produce like food tokens. Like, I forgot the name.
There's a lot of things that make food tokens. Oh, you don't want the new cabbage guy from Avatar?
I might hold on. Let me find.
That's the latest food discourses around cabbage guy.
Let me check. It was a Magic video I watched recently. Not that guy.
So not the cabbage guy.
Magic. I'm literally just typing Magic food token generator.
There's quite a lot of them, dude.
Oh, there's quite a lot. Oh, I won't be able to find it. But yeah, no, I mean, so it's things like that. Like if I didn't really know what it would be, but then I watched a few videos and it's like,
yeah. Once you start to know the universal stuff, like what a food token is, what a treasure token is, but it's just such a lot of cognitive load to someone who's new. That's part of the thing to take away from this video is like I know that I'm throwing a lot of shit at you.
It's like, so when I said I installed it and uninstalled it, it's because it takes a lot of time to learn a card game, and I just when I installed it, I had like good intentions. Try another like card game, branch out a little bit, better time, and then after like going through the tutorial, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna have additional time to do it.
That's also a testament to our age and where we're at in life, though, right? As well, like if you were a 16-year-old kid with infinite summer holiday time, you could just smash out loads of reps of Magic and like play on the free-to-play track and stuff, right? But you and I aren't doing that. Like, there's a reason I've not played Hearthstone for 6 years. It's not because I don't like it. Like, I loved Hearthstone last time I played it. I was sad to see Grim Patron go. But I keep mentioning it. It's just a card I really enjoyed.
It's a cool deck. It was a cool deck,
and it has the cool text, like the voice line as well. Everybody get in here, But like the only reason I didn't go back to playing Hearthstone or many of the card games is time. Like, how much time does an adult man really have between making doing their job, which in our case is making content about our respective games, you know?
Yeah, and it's like with card games, you want to be good at them because it's not like a first-person shooter or anything. You can just join in and start, like, you know, just click a button and stuff.
Well, Commander is that, though, a little bit. Commander is, like, absolutely fuck about. And if you find people with the same power level and same mindset as you can fuck about like that. You don't have to be good. But I know what you mean. Card games require a lot more effort to even mechanically action them, right? You don't just wander into a room and start shooting a gun.
Yeah, it's like there is a degree of luck in card games, and you know, but the first part is you've got to build a collection, then you got to know which decks that you enjoy, then you have to in and out of playing a said deck, and then you get onto like deck building yourself, and there's like different aspects to it, and then but that takes, I think, for a newbie coming into any card game, that takes long. I think that takes quite a while to get to that point, I think.
The barrier to entry of like building a standard deck is actually insane when you really think about it. Like both for Hearthstone and Magic, right? Like you install the client, you play your tutorial, you get a couple of packs for free, and then it's like, here you go, get on the ladder, and you play a couple of games where you're like in the new player like buffer zone where everyone's playing with like arena or draft commons, and then you hit your first like net deck, if you will, and you're like, oh shit, I'm never beating that with my shit cards, and then you're into like, are you buying packs, grinding dailies? At least in Hearthstone, you can dust the cards you aren't using. Magic and Magic's Arena, the digital client, is like, oh, you've crafted a card you don't want to play anymore? Well, fuck you. It's just stuck in your collection. You can't do anything with it. So that barrier is huge.
The biggest barrier was actually Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I wanted to recreate, on stream I did this. I wanted to recreate the deck that they gave me when we played in the tournament.
What did you play in that tournament? What did you play in that tournament?
It was Karibo, Sphere, Karibo, Requiem.
I don't know what that is, but someone in the comments might. And what, you were trying to build it on Master Duel?
Yeah, so no, not Master Duel. I got it on Steam. It was the one that we played on, actually.
Oh, Duel Links.
It was Duel Links, yeah. So what I found with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you can type and search the card, and it's in a specific box set or box. There's no way to actually craft it. So you have to go in and then buy the packs from.
I think that's Duel Links, though, is the problem. I think Duel Links is bad for that. I think Master Duel, which is their full client with the full game, because Duel Links again is like the Pokemon app that we were talking about. It's like a shortened version of it. Master Duel, don't quote me on this because I haven't played it and people aren't telling me to play it, is very generous with giving you shit. So like it gives you a lot of stuff. It's a lot better. And I think you might be able to, again, don't quote me, but you might be able to craft. Maybe it's more of a real game. Duel Links, if we're honest, and Konami, if you want to sponsor us both to play it again, by all means, I think we'll both accept. But Duel Links isn't really a full fat game, is it? It's more
like you go around and just level up because you just fight against NPCs, don't you? And then you can go to the PvP section. But it was there. I was like, I actually got really close because there's a few legendary creatures in there. I think it was actually the main body of the deck that I needed to get, which was I forget what they are now. They're the little 1/1 creature. Whatever your opponent's got. I can't remember.
I'm not going to know a thing. I vaguely remember that I had hamsters in my deck. And then on stream, I had rocket hamsters, didn't I? And on stream, I played like Desperado Battle Dragon quite a bit. And then, like, I had fun with Duel Links for the limited time I played it. But again, you're not playing. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Light. Right, that's the thing. When Master Duel is like the full fat proper game, worth they're adding stuff to. But on that note, we're now talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! We shouldn't, because people in the comments are like, "No, this isn't Hearthstone or Magic. Shut the fuck up." Dane, thank you for coming on and letting me bombard you with my special interest. Where can people find you if they want to go and check out your Hearthstone stuff?
You can type in Dane Half on YouTube and Twitch, and I'm there. I think I'm called Dane Half. You'll find me on Dane Half.
If you search the word Dane and Hearthstone, you'll be like the first 3 results on your socials.
That would work. You would instantly find me.
There you go. Give Dane a follow if you want to see some Hearthstone stuff. And if you like this video, let us know. And maybe we'll do... What was the video idea we had halfway through? Gaming Lexicon. Whether or not we have terms there. Maybe we do that. If you like the video, tell us down below that you like it. And then we might do that. I'm now very hungry and tired. I'm losing my fucking thing. Thank you, Dane.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Goodbye for now.